The Sangam Age is significant and unique for the social, economic, and cultural life of the Tamils. The art of war was developed as a part of Tamil culture. Numerous war tribes held sway over parts of ancient Tamilagam, leaving their mark on the history of the era. Maravars are fierce warriors and one of the indigenous tribes of Tamilagam. The history of the Maravar began with their association with Pandya dynasty. They were appointed as soldiers under the Pandyas and they had a traditional bond with the ANR. These groups are fierce and possess great military prowess. Ancient Tamil literature, particularly the Sangam anthologies, called the warriors, soldiers, and holders of armed forces as Maravars. Tamil scholar V.K. Pillai identified Maravar as one of the clans of ancient Nagas. Nagas were in power over the whole of India in prehistoric and historic times. A Maravar chieftain named Kelavan Nagan served the Pandya Empire as a minister and commander in his army. The etymology of the word Maravar is unclear. Some scholars say the word Maravar is derived from Marani, that is, sin. A Maravan is one who commits sin by killing living creatures without feeling pity or fear of God. The Vedic-influenced legendary accounts of Maravars claim they descend from god Indra and Guha. According to another legend, they are sons of Diti, hence Daityas. The Daityas are a race of Asuras in Vedic mythology. Bravery and love were at the forefront of Tamil life during the Sangam period. Warriors wanted to fight on the battlefield and achieve heroism. The heroism of the Sangam era was not only physical strength, but also a confluence of many emotions like dignity, motivation, and virtue. The art of warfare was fairly advanced. The lifting of cattle is also a warning of an invasion that is to follow. Hero stones are erected for those who sacrificed their lives for society. The sculptures in hero stones show the selflessness and immense sacrifice made by the soldier. Since the Maravars were soldiers who fought under the Pandyas, hero stones were erected in the memory of their brave deeds in battles. Kotravai was the goddess of war and victory. The earliest reference to Kotravai worship is available in Tolkappiyam as Kotravai Nilai, a form of worship in which the glory of Kotravai as a war goddess was eulogized and her blessings towards victory were requested by the soldiers before setting forth for any war. Extensive evidence is gathered to prove that the worship of the Kotravai was a dominant practice among Tamils. In classical Tamil prosody, the Palai region is not seen as having a naturally occurring ecology. The people inhabiting this region were the Maravar and ANR, who were involved in soldiering, waylaying, and robbery. Their settlements were known as Kurumbu. There are many references to the Maravar war tribe in Tamil Sangam anthologies. After the domination of Vijayanagar rule in South India, the Tamil country was divided into three Nayakships, namely Madurai, Senji, and Tanjavur. Viswanatha Nayak introduced a new system in the Madurai kingdom with the advice of the ministry and divided the country into 72 bastions, which are called Palayams. The Palayakkarar role was to administer their Palayam from their fortified centers. The system was a quasi-feudal organization of the country. The majority of those Palayakkarar, who during the late 17th and 18th centuries controlled much of the Tamil region, had themselves come from the Maravar community. The Palayakkarars appointed their own soldiers and directed them to safeguard the inhabitants of the village, and they established the Kaval system, a form of security service that was efficient and effective. The term Ur ka par in Purananooru, a Sangam literary text, has the earliest mention of the Kaval system. Nadu Kaval and Padi are the words mentioned in the inscriptions of ancient kings of Tamilagam that prove the existence of the Kaval system right from the Sangam Age. Those who were engaged in this duty were known as Kavalkkarars. The Kaval system in the medieval period was primarily dominated by Maravars. The Sethupathis were traditional warriors from the Maravar clan, who were recognized as the chieftains of Ramand by the Nayaks of Madurai during the 16th century. When the power of the Nayaks of Madurai began to decline in the late 17th century, the Sethupathis crowned themselves the kings of Ramand, and Sivaganga was an offshoot from Ramand state. The male rulers of Ramand bore the title of Sethupathi, the protectors of the Ramsethu bridge, while female rulers bore the title Nachiyar. Among the 72 Palayakkarars of the region, the Ramand Sethupathi stood first. This special position was conferred not based upon the revenue that his kingdom generated, but because of his military prowess. Velu Nachiyar became the first queen of Sivaganga. She was the first Indian queen to wage war with the East India Company, with the support of the Marudhu brothers. She formed a women's army named the Udayal Women Army. She had retook Sivaganga state successfully from the East India Company, waging valiant wars. With the arrival of the British East India Company in the political scenario of South India as a contender for political power, the traditional influence enjoyed by the Kavalkkarars came under threat. In the ensuing conflicts, some of the Kavalkkarars fought against the company individually, while others made common cause with the Palayakkarars in their wars against the East India Company. The Kaval system was seen to be anachronistic and a vestige of medieval times, and therefore stern measures were undertaken by the colonial state to eradicate the Kaval system. In the 19th century, as a first step in this direction, the Desha Kaval systems were abolished, and by 1816, the Kudi Kaval too was abolished by the colonial state. However, this move by the company was strongly protested and resisted by the Kavalkkarars with determination. Thus, a prolonged struggle commenced between the colonial state and the Kavalkkarars, which continued up to 20th century. During the course of the struggle, a modern police system was introduced in 1859 in the context of the many changes ushered in the socio-economic front because of the process of modernization initiated by colonial rule. The Kavalkkarars who lost their traditional occupation of Kaval could not accommodate themselves with the changing socio-economic conditions that necessitated occupational changes. Consequently, they gradually drifted into the world of crime and preyed on the people. The new police establishment introduced by the colonial state met with complete failure in managing the crimes related to Kaval. As a last resort, the colonial government armed itself with the infamous Criminal Tribes Act in 1917 against the Kavalkkarars and their communities, which included Maravars. The act controlled the free movement of the Maravars in the Ramand and Tirunelveli districts. This act was vigorously entered, seemed to have disturbed adversely the socio-economic situation and created bitterness among people. The act was repealed in 1949, which resulted in 25 lakh people being decriminalized.